Section 1. Introduction to the Central Excise Act, 1944. The Central Excise Act, 1944, was a cornerstone of India's indirect tax system, governing the levy and collection of excise duty on goods manufactured in India. Though replaced by GST in 2017, it remains relevant for specific petroleum products and alcoholic liquors. The Act's core objective was revenue generation by taxing goods at the point of manufacture. It applied to a wide range of goods, covering various industries. Over the years, the Act underwent numerous amendments to streamline procedures and adapt to India's evolving economic landscape. Despite its replacement, the Act's legacy lives on in the principles that underpin the current GST system. Understanding its provisions provides historical context to India's indirect tax regime. Section 2. Defining key terms, excisable goods, manufacture and factory. The Central Excise Act, 1944, revolves around key terms forming its foundation. Excisable goods, defined as any goods manufactured or produced in India liable to a duty of excise. This broad definition covered a vast array of products listed in the Central Excise Tariff Act, 1985. Manufacture encompasses transforming raw materials into finished products, including assembling, blending and altering goods. Factory extends beyond traditional manufacturing plants to include any premises where excisable goods are produced. This includes large industrial units and smaller establishments. Understanding these definitions is crucial for interpreting the Act's provisions. They determine the scope of the Act, identifying goods subject to excise duty and the premises classified as factories. Section 3. Understanding duties and levies on excisable goods. The heart of the Central Excise Act, 1944, lies in its provisions for levying duties on excisable goods. Basic excise duty, BED, levied on the manufacturing cost of goods, with rates varying by classification. Special excise duty, SED, imposed on specific goods as a percentage of BED to regulate production and consumption. Education cess, a surcharge on BED and SED, funding educational initiatives. National Calamity Contingent Duty, NCCD, imposed on specific goods to fund relief operations during natural calamities. The Act provided a detailed framework for determining duty rates, specified in the Central Excise Tariff Act, 1985. Procedures for assessing, collecting and paying these duties were outlined in the Act. These duties played a crucial role in revenue generation and regulation. Section 4. Valuation of goods for excise duty. Determining the value of goods for excise duty was crucial under the Central Excise Act, 1944. Valuation based on transaction value, typically the price at which goods were sold by the manufacturer. Adjustments to transaction value included costs like transportation and insurance to reflect true market value. Valuation rules for related party transactions ensured arm's-length pricing to prevent manipulation. Provisions for captive consumption. Valuation based on production cost plus a reasonable profit margin. These valuation rules ensured fairness and transparency in excise duty assessment. The Act's focus on transparency helped prevent tax evasion. Fair valuation created a level playing field for manufacturers. Section 5. Remission and exemptions, relief provisions under the Act. The Central Excise Act, 1944, incorporated provisions for remission and exemptions to promote industries and provide relief. Remission. The government could waive excise duty for goods exported, used for public benefit, or in cases of natural calamities. Exemptions. Granted to specific goods or classes, promoting small-scale industries and socially desirable activities. Conditions and procedures. Manufacturers had to apply for these benefits with necessary documentation. Authorities could reject applications not meeting criteria. These provisions allowed the government to tailor the impact of excise duty, promoted specific sectors and provided relief in deserving cases, aligned the excise duty structure with broader economic objectives, ensured flexibility in the application of excise duty. Section 6. Registration requirements and restrictions. The Central Excise Act, 1944, established a comprehensive registration system for manufacturers of excisable goods. Mandatory registration, required for all factories producing excisable goods, regardless of scale. Application process, involved submitting an application with supporting documents. Restrictions on unregistered manufacturers, prohibited from manufacturing excisable goods, with penalties for non-compliance. Maintenance and update of registration, required periodic returns and updates on manufacturing activities. Authorities could cancel registration for non-compliance. Registration ensured a database of manufacturers for effective excise duty assessment, facilitated compliance with the Act's provisions. Section 7. Offences, Penalties and Recovery Procedures. The Central Excise Act 1944 outlined offences, penalties and recovery procedures to enforce compliance. Offences included manufacturing without registration, evading duty, submitting false documents, and obstructing officers. Penalties ranged from fines to imprisonment, with severity based on the offence. Recovery procedures included demand notices, attaching bank accounts and seizing assets. Interest on delayed payments was also imposed. Appeals and revisions, mechanism for appeals against orders culminating in appeals to Sestat. Revisions of orders were allowed in specific circumstances. These measures deterred tax evasion and ensured timely payment of excise duty, maintained the integrity of the excise system.